We're so used to seeing Chris Matheson run low 6-second passes, 6.2, 6.1, that it's almost taken for granted. I want to show you one pass from last Saturday night that I think is pretty special, and then we'll have a good chat about it. First, let's have a look at it at normal speed.
Either way, we're going to light some candles as the back end waggles its tail. He's off and back on and runs it through the top end.
6.11, ladies and gentlemen, 6.11 at 329 kilometres an hour for Chris Matheson. And again, it wasn't the smoothest run we've seen either.
The back end was moving around. It was wagging its tail like a happy puppy dog.
Okay, a 6.119 at quite slow mile an hour. Just over 1/10 of a second outside that elusive 5-second pass. Almost, but not quite. But I'd like to dissect this particular run with you because I think that even though it wasn't a 5, it was actually something quite special. But first you need to hear from Phil.
Phil, we don't often have a chat because you're this kind of the behind-the-scenes guy. You like to keep a low profile.
That's right.
You build these motors.
Yeah, we build the motors, design them and build them all in-house at work at Performance Wholesale.
The question I saw was last time we ran, a few weeks ago, the bike ran beautifully. Ran 3 6.0s in a row, as we all know. Now we're in Sydney. You're leading the championship. It's all looking good. My suggestion would be don't mess with anything. Just leave it exactly the way it is. But I saw the secret squirrel notes going around in the week, and it's talking about changing the cannons and the clutch weightings and the timing and the exhaust gas temperature. And why don't you just leave it alone? Why do you have to keep tinkering with it?
No, well, we're not changing it much, but we always got to have a plan so that we can go that little bit faster. You know, even though we went fast over there, we can. The short times can be a lot faster when you look at the data. So we've just got to have a plan for when we race here to attack it a little bit harder. You know, considering the track and the track conditions, you know, that we can throw a little bit more at the track and go faster in the 60 foot and to 330, and there's potential also to go faster, you know, in the 660, and the cumulative gains in those areas will add up so that Chris doesn't have to do the full 1,300 feet to run a 5-second pass. It keeps it much safer in the equation. If he has to run out to 1,300 feet, then the alarm bells come on, and it's
As we saw
much
in the
more
interview.
risky for him to go through the deep end.
Okay. So you're keen to get him half track, absolute killer time to half track, like
Exactly.
3.8 and 210 mile an hour or something like that.
Correct. Yep, that's what we've always been heading for, and we've been up to, you know, for the last 4 years we've had trouble in the first half of the 60 foot, and we've sort of got on top of that now. It's pretty good, so we've got a good foundation now, and we can tweak it. The notes during the week that you saw are just tweaking it in little areas. They're not major changes. It sounds like a lot, but they're not. And
Okay.
those 0.1 of a seconds earlier in the pass you'll get the gain 3 times over at the end of the track. So
Okay, I get it. The first 100 feet is crucial. So now let's look at this run in detail. You saw it was a bit untidy. Let's slow it down 10 times so that 6-second pass actually takes 60 seconds. Stick with me here, this will be interesting. Now if you were there last Saturday, you'd know there'd been well over an hour's delay after an incident. The temp was falling rapidly, the dew was starting to come in, there'd been no cars down the track for an hour and 20 minutes, so it wasn't ideal. Chris is okay but not super flash on the tree. 0.153, nothing special. Doesn't matter in this case, it's a solo pass and only the ET matters. At 60 feet it's already doing 100 miles an hour, but the time of 1.03 is killer. That's right on the money. You can see the bike's got the wobbles. It's like a speedboat, back and forth, fishtailing. So just before 300 feet, Chris is completely off the throttle, and he stays off the throttle for at least 0.38 of a second. Then it takes at least another 1/10 to get back to full power. There's half a second off the gas, and bikes don't accelerate when the throttle's closed. They slow down. Despite all that, the half track is still under 4 seconds, which is the marker you need for a sub 6-second pass. But the speed is low, about 20 miles an hour less than you'd normally need. The 1,000-foot time should be under 5 seconds, but it's not. With all that speedboating, Chris knows a 5 is not on the cards, so he's off the throttle just after 1,000 feet, still a football field away from the finish, and rolls through the traps at a leisurely 204 miles an hour, about 30 mile an hour less than he's done previously. And yet, stone the crows, he still pulls a 6.1 out of his back pocket. How do you figure that? Can you imagine what this pass could have been if the track had been able to hold the power? Without the waggle, and even with a lift at 1100 feet, I think that was still going to be a 5.8 any day of the week.